March 9th, 1945, 11:47 p.m., Tokyo, Japan. Captain Saburo Sakai stood on the roof of the Imperial Japanese Army Air Force headquarters, watching searchlights sweep the night sky over Tokyo. As one of Japan's most experienced fighter pilots with 64 confirmed kills, he'd spent 4 years watching American bombing attempts with a mixture of contempt and amusement. "American bombing is pathetic," he told his squadron just last week. They dropped from 25,000 feet with their precious Norden bombsight, this secret device they guard like treasure. And what does it achieve? Bombs scattered across miles. They hit a factory. They also hit rice paddies 3 kilometers away. Wasteful. Ineffective. American technology is impressive machinery with no warrior spirit. His aide approached with the evening intelligence report. "Sir, American B-29s forming up over the Pacific. Estimated 300-plus aircraft. Unusual formation, they're coming in low. Perhaps 5,000 feet instead of their normal 25,000. Sakai frowned. "Low altitude? They'll be vulnerable to anti-aircraft fire. This makes no sense tactically. Unless..." He paused. Unless they've abandoned precision bombing entirely and plan to simply carpet bomb. Desperation tactics. What Captain Sakai didn't know, what Japanese military intelligence had catastrophically failed to understand, was that the B-29s approaching Tokyo that night weren't carrying the famous Norden bombsight at all. They were carrying something far simpler and infinitely more devastating. Incendiary clusters designed to create a firestorm. And the man who had designed this new bombing strategy, General Curtis LeMay, had specifically removed the Norden bomb sites to save weight for more bombs. In exactly 4 hours, 1,665 tons of incendiaries would fall on Tokyo in the most destructive conventional bombing raid in human history. The firestorm would kill more people in one night than the atomic bomb would kill at Hiroshima 5 months later. But this wasn't the story of one terrible night. This was the culmination of 4 years during which Japanese military planners mocked American precision bombing right up until American bombers destroyed 67 Japanese cities with such methodical precision that Japan's war economy simply ceased to exist. The woman partially responsible for building the Norden bomb site was working third shift at a factory in New York, assembling gyroscopes so precise they could maintain accuracy to 1/10,000th of a degree. Her name was Dorothy Richardson, age 32, officially a machinist, actually one of 8,000 workers producing the most sophisticated analog computer ever built. She was helping build the device that would make strategic bombing possible, and Japanese commanders would never understand what hit them until it was far too late. To understand Japanese contempt for American strategic bombing, you need to understand Japanese military doctrine, a philosophy emphasizing warrior spirit over mechanical precision. Japanese military thought in 1941 to 1942 reflected cultural values. Spirit over machinery, Japanese doctrine emphasized pilot skill, bravery, and fighting spirit. Technology was secondary. A skilled pilot with adequate aircraft could overcome superior machines through superior will. American reliance on complex technology was viewed as weakness, trying to replace warrior spirit with mechanical devices. Close-range accuracy over high-altitude precision. Japanese bomber doctrine emphasized low-altitude attacks with visual accuracy, dive bombers, and torpedo bombers attacking from close range. High-altitude bombing was considered wasteful and ineffective. Strategic bombing is propaganda. Japanese military analysts believed strategic bombing couldn't win wars. Armies conquered territory. Bombing civilians was terror tactic with minimal military value. American emphasis on strategic bombing was viewed as admission they couldn't fight properly. American technology is vulnerable. Complex technology breaks down, requires maintenance, and needs specialists to operate. Japanese doctrine favored simpler, more reliable systems that worked in harsh conditions with minimal maintenance. This doctrine shaped Japanese intelligence assessments of American bombing capabilities. Japanese intelligence reports, 1942 to 1943. April 1942, Doolittle Raid analysis. American B-25 bombers attacked Tokyo from carrier launch. Bombing accuracy was poor. Scattered hits across city with minimal damage. This demonstrates American bombing capability is limited to propaganda raids with no strategic value. Conclusion: strategic bombing threat is minimal. November 1942, European Theater Assessment. American bombers attacking Germany from Britain suffer heavy losses and achieve poor accuracy. American 8-ball bomb sight, referring to Norden, is rumored to be highly accurate, but operational results show bombs scattered over wide areas. Likely American propaganda exaggerating their technology. June 1943, Pacific Bombing Assessment. American B-24 and B-17 bombers conducting raids on Japanese-held islands show poor accuracy. Bombs frequently miss targets by hundreds of meters. Their high-altitude bombing doctrine is ineffective. Japanese fighters and anti-aircraft guns can effectively counter these raids. Threat level moderate. Lieutenant Colonel Takushiro Hattori, Japanese Army intelligence analyst, wrote in Classified Report, July 1943. American bombing represents triumph of technology over warrior spirit and demonstrates why technology alone cannot win wars. They build elaborate bomb sites, fly at extreme altitudes where their crews are comfortable, and drop bombs from heights where they cannot see their targets clearly. Result is scattered bombing that looks impressive in propaganda films but achieves minimal military effect. Japanese doctrine of close-range precision attack remains superior. This assessment would prove catastrophically wrong. While Japanese analysts dismissed American bombing as ineffective, American engineers were perfecting the most sophisticated bomb sight ever created, the Norden Mark 15. The Norden bomb sight was an analog computer of breathtaking complexity. Technical specifications: weight 50 pounds, including stabilization mount. Components: over 2,000 precision machine parts. Gyroscopes 2, maintaining stability to 1/10,000th degree. Calculation capability: continuously computed bomb trajectory accounting for aircraft altitude, aircraft speed, wind speed and direction, air temperature and density, bomb ballistics, Earth's rotation for extreme precision. Accuracy: under optimal conditions, 75% of bombs land within 400 feet of target from 20,000 feet altitude. Cost: $8,000 per unit, equivalent to $140,000 today. Security classification: top secret, same level as the atomic bomb project. Production: 50,000 units manufactured 1941 to 1945. How it worked: the bombardier would identify the target through the bomb sight's telescope. He'd input altitude, airspeed, and wind data. The Norden would calculate the exact release point, accounting for all variables. Crucially, the Norden could control the aircraft during the bomb run. The bombardier would issue steering corrections through the autopilot, PDI, pilot direction indicator. The aircraft would fly itself to the perfect release point while the bombardier refined targeting. At the precise calculated moment, the Norden would automatically release the bombs. Major Harold Bowman, bombardier instructor at Midland Army Airfield, explained the philosophy. The Norden represents American approach to warfare. Apply technology and precision to remove variables. Japanese pilot drops a bomb based on experience and intuition. American bombardier drops bomb based on precise calculation. In individual cases, experienced pilot might achieve better accuracy, but average American bombardier with Norden will beat average Japanese pilot consistently. Technology makes average bomber crew into precision instrument. The secrecy surrounding the Norden was extreme. Bombardiers took oath never to discuss the device. Armed guards accompanied Norden bomb sites at all times. If aircraft was going down, bombardiers were trained to destroy Norden with thermite grenades. Captured Norden parts were considered security breaches requiring investigation. Germans captured several Nordens from downed bombers but couldn't reverse engineer the precision gyroscopes. The Japanese captured a damaged Norden from a B-29 crash in China in 1944. Japanese engineers examined it and reported, "American bomb sight is masterpiece of precision engineering. Gyroscopes achieve stability we cannot replicate with current manufacturing capability. Mechanism calculates bomb trajectory with sophistication beyond our current technology. However, device is extremely complex, requires extensive training to operate, and likely performs poorly under combat stress." Assessment: impressive engineering with limited practical utility. This assessment, acknowledging technical sophistication while dismissing practical effectiveness, typified Japanese failure to understand what they were facing. The European theater provided a proving ground for American precision bombing doctrine, with mixed results that seemed to validate Japanese skepticism. 8th Air Force bombing results, 1943. Raids conducted 320-plus sorties. 27,000-plus bombs dropped, 47,000 tons. Average accuracy, 32% of bombs within 1,000 feet of target. Aircraft losses, 2,400-plus bombers. Aircrew casualties, 26,000-plus killed or captured. The accuracy statistics were disappointing. Under combat conditions, enemy fighters, anti-aircraft fire, weather, mechanical failures, the Norden's theoretical precision often failed to materialize. But American doctrine wasn't based on individual raid accuracy. It was based on cumulative effect. Consider the bombing campaign against German ball-bearing production. Schweinfurt raids, August to October 1943. Primary target, ball-bearing factories, critical to German war production. Raids, 2 major attacks. Bombers committed, 600-plus aircraft. Losses, 120 aircraft shot down. Ball-bearing production disruption, 67% reduction for 3 months. The accuracy of individual bombs was mediocre, but hundreds of bombers dropping thousands of bombs created cumulative destruction that crippled German ball-bearing production for months. This was the doctrine Japanese analysts missed. American strategic bombing wasn't about individual accuracy. It was about overwhelming precision through massive scale. The formula: individual bomber accuracy, moderate, 30 to 40% within 1,000 feet, times number of bombers per raid, 300 to 500, times number of raids per month, 20 to 40, equals cumulative effect, systematic destruction of industrial capacity. Colonel Curtis LeMay, who would later command B-29 operations against Japan, perfected this approach in Europe. We don't need every bomb to hit perfectly. We need enough bombs in target area to guarantee destruction. The Norden gets us close enough. Numbers do the rest. Japanese look at individual bomb accuracy and say we're ineffective. They're not seeing the bigger picture. We're destroying their war economy one factory at a time, and they can't stop us. When B-29 Superfortress bombers began operations against Japan in June 1944, Japanese commanders initially viewed them with contempt. B-29 specifications: wingspan 141 feet, length 99 feet, weight loaded 135,000 pounds, crew 11, engines 4 Wright R3350, 2,200 horsepower each, service ceiling 33,600 feet, range 3,250 miles. Speed 350 miles per hour maximum. Defensive armament 12 times .50 caliber machine guns, remote-controlled turrets. Bomb load 20,000 pounds maximum. Pressurized cabin, yes. Crew comfort at high altitude. Cost $639,000 per aircraft, equivalent to $10.5 million today. The B-29 was most advanced bomber in the world, designed specifically to reach Japan from distant bases and bomb from altitudes Japanese fighters struggled to reach. Initial B-29 raids from China bases, June to December 1944, seemed to validate Japanese skepticism. Early B-29 operations, June-December 1944. Raids 49 missions. Sorties Howitzsense Plus. Bombs dropped 1,600 tons. Average bombing accuracy, poor. Weather, mechanical issues, long distances. Aircraft losses, 147 B-29s, operational and combat losses. Strategic effect, minimal. Japanese propaganda made much of these results. Tokyo radio broadcast, October 1944. American superbombers have achieved nothing except waste of resources. Despite technological sophistication, they cannot hit targets accurately. Japanese defenses shoot them down regularly. American belief that technology can replace fighting spirit is being proven false. But 2 factors were about to change everything. First, Americans captured Mariana Islands, Saipan, Tinian, Guam, in summer 1944, providing bases only 1,500 miles from Tokyo, well within B-29 range. Second, General Curtis LeMay took command of 21st Bomber Command in January 1945. LeMay looked at the results from high-altitude precision bombing and made radical decision. Abandon it entirely. January 1945, 21st Bomber Command Headquarters, Guam. Major General Curtis LeMay reviewed 6 months of bombing statistics and came to an uncomfortable conclusion. Precision bombing wasn't working against Japan. The problems were multiple. High-altitude bombing challenges over Japan. Jet stream winds, 200-plus miles per hour, winds at 25,000-plus feet scattered bombs unpredictably. Weather cloud cover over Japan, 70% of the time obscured targets. Radar bombing, less accurate than visual bombing. Norden accuracy, degraded severely by high winds and turbulence. Results, only 5 to 10% of bombs hitting within 1,000 feet of the aim point. LeMay's radical solution, night raids, low altitude, 5,000 to 8,000 feet, area bombing with incendiaries. His staff was shocked. This violated everything about American precision bombing doctrine. Sir, flying at 5,000 feet puts us in range of every anti-aircraft gun in Japan, his operations officer protested. Japanese anti-aircraft is weak, LeMay replied. They've concentrated on high-altitude defense. Night raids at low altitude will catch them unprepared. What about the Norden bombsight? We can't use precision bombing at 5,000 feet at night. We don't need precision, LeMay said coldly. Japanese cities are tinderboxes, wood and paper construction. We're going to burn them. For that, we don't need the Norden. We need maximum bomb load. Strip out the bomb sites. Strip out most defensive guns. Add more incendiaries. We're going to test this on Tokyo. The decision to remove Norden bomb sites from B-29s seemed to validate everything the Japanese had said about American bombing, that it was ineffective, that technology couldn't replace warrior spirit, that strategic bombing was a terror tactic rather than a military strategy. But LeMay wasn't abandoning precision, he was changing the definition of target. The target wasn't a factory, the target was the entire city. March 9th to 10th, 1945, Operation Meeting House. 334 B-29s took off from Mariana's bases, loaded with incendiaries, M69 bombs, each containing napalm-based gel that ignited on impact and couldn't be extinguished with water. Captain Robert Morgan, B-29 pilot, later described the mission. We came in at 5,000 feet, terrifyingly low for a bomber that size. No Norden bomb site, no precision equipment, just bombardiers eyeballing the city and dropping when we crossed the release point. The first wave dropped Pathfinder bombs to mark the target area. Following waves dropped on the fires. The whole city became the target. Operation Meeting House statistics. Bora C-29s participating 334 bombs dropped 1,665 tons incendiaries. Area targeted 12.8 square miles. Shitamachi District, Eastern Tokyo. Duration of attack 3 hours 10 minutes. Weather clear, wind 28 miles per hour. What happened next exceeded even LeMay's expectations. The incendiaries ignited thousands of fires simultaneously. The fires merged into a conflagration. The conflagration created a firestorm, winds of 100+ miles per hour, generated by the fire itself, sucked oxygen from the air and pulled people into flames. Tokyo Fire Department report, March 10th, 1945. Fires ignited, 40,000+ individual blazes. Area burned, 15.8 square miles, exceeded target area. Structures destroyed, 267,171 buildings. Casualties, 100,000+ dead. Estimates range 80,000 to 120,000. Injured, 1 million+. Homeless, 1 million+. Peak fire temperature, estimated 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit. Captain Sakai watched from the roof of headquarters as Tokyo burned. I've seen cities bombed, I've seen fires. This was different. This was entire city becoming hell. The fires merged into a single mass that generated its own weather. Tornado of fire sucking in everything. People fled, but wind pulled them back into flames. Water in canals boiled. Metal melted. Stone cracked from heat. By dawn, 16 square miles of Tokyo simply gone. Vaporized, and we couldn't stop it. The B-29s lost 14 aircraft, 4.2% loss rate acceptable. The strategic result, more people killed in a single night than the atomic bomb would kill at Hiroshima. But the truly devastating aspect wasn't one raid, it was what came next. LeMay had proven the concept, now he industrialized it. Strategic bombing campaign against Japan, March to August 1945. Cities attacked, 67. Raids conducted 400 plus. Sorties 33,000 plus. Bombs dropped 170,000 tons, mostly incendiaries. B-29s lost 414 aircraft. Urban area destroyed 178 square miles. The campaign was methodical. LeMay's staff selected cities based on strategic value: war production, transportation hubs, military facilities. But rather than precision bombing individual factories, B-29s burned entire cities. Major cities destroyed. Tokyo, 56% destroyed, March 9th to 10th raid plus subsequent attacks. Nagoya, 40% destroyed. Osaka, 36% destroyed. Kobe, 55% destroyed. Yokohama, 58% destroyed. Kawasaki, 36% destroyed. Medium cities received similar treatment. Toyama, 99.5% destroyed. Fukui, 86% destroyed. Hitachi, 82% destroyed. Numazu, 91% destroyed. Gifu, 75% destroyed. The pattern was relentless. LeMay published target lists in advance. Leaflets dropped warning civilians to evacuate because their city would be burned on a specific date. Then B-29s came and burned it. Japanese air defenses were overwhelmed. Japanese air defense performance, March to August 1945. Fighter interception rate, 25%. Most raids proceeded without fighter contact. Anti-aircraft effectiveness, 2.4%. B-29 loss rate to flak. Night fighter kills, minimal. Japanese lacked effective night fighters. B-29 shot down versus B-29's lost to mechanical issues, 1-to-3 ratio. The bombing was so systematic that by August 1945, Japan had essentially run out of cities worth bombing. 67 major and medium cities destroyed or heavily damaged. War production collapsed. Transportation network destroyed. Civilian morale shattered. The irony, after demonstrating that area bombing with incendiaries was devastatingly effective, Americans returned to precision bombing for the final blow. Atomic bomb missions, August 6th and 9th, 1945. Both Hiroshima and Nagasaki missions used precision bombing techniques, visual bombing from 30,000 plus feet using refined bombsight technology. The Norden bombsight that Japanese had mocked didn't guide the atomic bombs. Those used different release mechanisms. But the precision doctrine that developed around the Norden, careful target selection, precise navigation, optimal release point calculation was applied to atomic weapons. Colonel Paul Tibbets, pilot of Enola Gay, described the approach. People think atomic bomb made precision unnecessary. Opposite is true. We had exactly one bomb. We couldn't miss. Every aspect of that mission was precision. Navigation to exact release point, altitude calculation, release timing. We applied every lesson learned from 4 years of precision bombing. The difference was scale of destruction from single bomb, but the methodology was pure precision bombing doctrine. Hiroshima, August 6, 1945. B-29, Enola Gay. Bomb Little Boy, uranium gun type. Release altitude, 31,000 feet. Aiming point, Aioi Bridge. Actual impact, 800 feet from aiming point. Circular error, within acceptable range for weapon of that yield. Casualties, 70,000 to 80,000 immediate, 140,000 by end of 1945. Nagasaki, August 9th, 1945. B-29, Boxcar. Bomb, Fat Man, plutonium implosion. Release altitude, 29,000 feet. Primary target, Kokura Arsenal, obscured by weather. Secondary target, Nagasaki. Aiming point, Mitsubishi Steelworks. Casualties, 40,000 to 75,000 immediate, 80,000 by end of 1945. The atomic strikes represented the ultimate evolution of American precision bombing doctrine, combining precision targeting methodology with overwhelming destructive power. By August 1945, Japanese military leaders had been forced to acknowledge what they'd dismissed for 4 years. From Emperor Hirohito's surrender speech, August 15, 1945. Moreover, the enemy has begun to employ a new and most cruel bomb, the power of which to do damage is indeed incalculable, taking the toll of many innocent lives. Should we continue to fight? It would not only result in an ultimate collapse and obliteration of the Japanese nation, but also it would lead to the total extinction of human civilization. But the atomic bombs were just the final blow. The strategic bombing campaign had already destroyed Japan's capacity to continue the war. Japanese war economy, August 1945. Aircraft production, down 90% from peak, from 28,000 aircraft in 1944 to 2,800 in 1945. Naval construction ceased, shipyards destroyed. Steel production, down 80%. Coal production, down 70%. Rail transportation, 75% reduction in capacity. Food distribution, collapsed, cities near starvation. Civilian morale, broken, 8.5 million homeless from bombing. Lieutenant General Torishiro Kawabe, Deputy Chief of Japanese Army General Staff, testified after the war, "The strategic bombing destroyed our capacity to resist, not because of any single raid, but because of systematic destruction of our cities and war production over 5 months. By August, we could no longer build aircraft, produce fuel, transport materials, or feed our population." The atomic bombs provided final shock, but the conventional bombing campaign had already made continued resistance impossible. More telling was his assessment of American bombing accuracy. "We mocked American precision bombing early in war. We said their bomb sites were impressive technology with little practical effect. We were wrong. Americans didn't need to hit individual factories. They destroyed entire industrial cities with systematic precision. The accuracy wasn't in individual bombs, but in systematic campaign that methodically eliminated our war economy. By the time we understood what we were fighting, we had already lost." Admiral Suemu Toyota, Commander-in-Chief of Combined Fleet, made a similar admission. "American bombing represented military-industrial capacity we couldn't match. They could lose 400 B-29s and continue operations. We couldn't replace 400 fighters. They could bomb 67 cities and still have resources for more. We couldn't defend 67 cities simultaneously. The bombing wasn't won by their bomb sight, it was won by their industrial capacity to produce bombers, train crews, and conduct operations at scale we couldn't counter. Behind the statistics were people who built the bombers, flew the missions, and died in the fires below." Dorothy Richardson worked at Norden factory in New York, assembling gyroscopes from 1942 to 1945. She machined components to tolerances of 1/10,000th inch, assembled mechanisms so precise a speck of dust could cause failure. After the war, she was asked if she was proud of her work. Her answer, "I helped build devices that guided bombs that killed hundreds of thousands of people. I can't be proud of that. But if we hadn't built them, the war would have lasted longer and more people would have died. So I tell myself we shortened the war. I tell myself that, sometimes I even believe it." Captain Robert Morgan flew 26 missions over Japan in B-29s. He watched Tokyo burn on March 9th. He watched other cities burn after that. His diary entry, March 10th, 1945, "We burned Tokyo last night." From 5,000 feet, could see individual people running, burning, dying. Could smell burning flesh through oxygen mask. This is what strategic bombing means, not hitting military targets precisely, but burning entire city full of civilians. We're told this is necessary to end war. I believe that. But I'll never forget the smell. Kiyoshi Yamamoto was 17 years old on March 9th, 1945, living in Tokyo with his family. He survived the firestorm. His mother, father, and 2 younger sisters did not. In an interview 50 years later, Americans talk about precision bombing, about destroying war production, about military necessity. "I watched my mother burn to death in street while Americans dropped napalm from sky." Precision? There was no precision. Just fire. Just death. I don't care what their bomb sites could do. They burned my family alive. The moral complexity of strategic bombing remained unresolved even 80 years later. Was it necessary to end the war? Did it save lives by avoiding invasion? Or was it a war crime that killed hundreds of thousands of civilians? Strategic bombing casualties in Japan. Killed by conventional bombing, 330,000 to 500,000, estimates vary. Killed by atomic bombs, 200,000 to 220,000. Injured, 1,500,000 plus. Homeless, 8,500,000 plus. Cities destroyed or heavily damaged, 67. American bomber crew casualties. B-29 crewmen killed, 3,960. 29 crewmen captured, 600 plus. B-29s lost in combat, 414. B-29s lost to accidents, 600 plus. Strategic bombing campaign against Japan, June 1944, August 1945. Scale. Sorties, 34 mil plus. Bombs dropped, 171,060 tons. Cities attacked, 67. B-29s deployed, 1,000 plus aircraft peak strength. Crew members, 11,000 plus airmen. Results. Urban area destroyed, 178 square miles. Percentage of Japanese urban area destroyed, 43%. Buildings destroyed, 2,500,000 plus. War production capacity lost, 80% plus. Transportation capacity lost, 75% plus. Accuracy statistics. High altitude precision bombing, June 1944, February 1945. Average accuracy, 8% of bombs within 1,000 feet. Strategic effect, minimal. Low altitude incendiary bombing, March to August 1945. Average accuracy, not applicable area target. Strategic effect, decisive. The paradox. The Norden bomb site, the precision device Japanese mocked, was largely irrelevant to the bombing campaign that destroyed Japan. Americans won through overwhelming force applied systematically, not through precision targeting. But the industrial capacity that produced the Norden, the machine tools, the skilled workers, the engineering sophistication, the quality control systems, that same capacity produced 1,000 B-29s and 171,000 tons of bombs. Japanese mocked the technology, but the technology was symptom of deeper American advantage, industrial capacity operating at scale Japanese couldn't match. The precision bombing doctrine wasn't wrong. It was applied to enemy that couldn't be defeated by precision alone. Japan's war economy required area destruction because it was dispersed through civilian areas in cities built of flammable materials. Dayton, Ohio, National Museum of the U.S. Air Force, August 6, 2015. 70th anniversary of Hiroshima. Veterans and families gathered at restored B-29 Boxcar, the aircraft that bombed Nagasaki. Dorothy Richardson, now 102, stood beside the bomb bay. Also present was Takeshi Yamamoto, 87, son of Kiyoshi Yamamoto, who survived the Tokyo firestorm. Through translators, they spoke. "I helped build the bomb site," Dorothy said quietly, "though it wasn't used for the atomic bombs. But I helped build the technology that made strategic bombing possible." Takeshi looked at the massive bomber. "This killed my grandfather's family. My grandfather survived, raised my father in ruins of Tokyo. He died hating America, hating this." He gestured at the B-29. "I understand," Dorothy replied. "I helped build these weapons. I'm not proud, but I believed then and still believe that the bombing ended the war. Shortened it, saved lives in the long run. Saved American lives," Takeshi said. "Cost Japanese lives. 500,000 civilians burned to death in cities. My family among them." They stood in uncomfortable silence. Finally, Dorothy said, "I'm sorry. For what that's worth, I'm sorry your family died. I'm sorry we had to build these machines. I'm sorry the war required this horror. But I'm not sorry we ended the war, because continuing it would have killed even more people on both sides." Takeshi considered this. "My grandfather said Americans apologized for bombing, but not for war. He said if Americans were sorry, they should have avoided war, not just apologized after burning our cities." "He was right," Dorothy said. "But war happened. And once it started, both sides did terrible things to win. Your military killed millions in China. Our military killed hundreds of thousands in Japan. Everyone has blood on their hands. The question is, how do we prevent the next war?" Before leaving, Takeshi placed a small origami crane at the base of Boxcar's memorial plaque. For the civilians who died, all of them, Japanese, American, everyone, Dorothy placed her factory ID badge beside it. For the people who built the weapons, we carry that too. The story of strategic bombing in World War II is ultimately about how industrial capacity defeats warrior spirit, how systematic destruction defeats courage, and how underestimating your enemy's resources guarantees defeat. Japanese pilots mocked American bomb sites because they saw precision technology as weakness, trying to replace skill and spirit with machinery. They were partially right. The Norden bomb site didn't win the war through precision. But they were fundamentally wrong about what the technology represented. The Norden wasn't important because it was precise. It was important because America could build 50,000 of them, each costing $8,000, each containing 2,000 precision parts, each representing industrial sophistication Japan couldn't match. The industrial capacity that produced the Norden also produced 3,970 B-29s at $639,000 each, 171,000 tons of bombs, 330,000 trained aircrew, 1,000 plus bases and support facilities. Japan couldn't compete with this, not because Japanese workers weren't skilled or Japanese pilots weren't brave, but because Japan's industrial base was 1/10 the size of America's. Modern lessons. Technology is a symptom of industrial capacity, not a substitute for it. Advanced weapons require advanced industry to produce at scale. Precision matters less than persistence. Americans won not through perfect accuracy, but through systematic application of overwhelming force. Warrior spirit doesn't defeat industrial capacity. Courage and skill matter, but they can't overcome a 10-to-1 disadvantage in production. Strategic bombing's moral complexity remains. Was burning 67 cities necessary to end the war? History has no consensus answer. Underestimating an enemy's resources guarantees defeat. Japanese saw a precision bomb sight and mocked it, missing the industrial base that produced it. Captain Sakai stood on a roof in March 1945, watching Tokyo burn, finally understanding what Japan faced. Not precision bombing, not advanced technology, but industrial power applied systematically to destroy Japan's capacity to resist. By August 1945, 67 Japanese cities had been destroyed. War economy collapsed. Transportation shattered. Population near starvation. Not because American precision was perfect, but because American industry was overwhelming. The Norden bomb sight became famous as the most precise bombing device ever built. But precision wasn't what defeated Japan. Scale was. Persistence was. Industrial capacity was. Japanese pilots mocked the technology's industrial base destroyed their nation. Sometimes the most dangerous thing isn't the weapon itself, it's the capacity to produce thousands of them and use them systematically until the enemy's will and capacity to resist are completely broken. Japanese pilots mocked American bomb sites, American industry buried Japan in bombs, and by August 1945, 67 Japanese cities had disappeared from the map. Not because of precision, but because of industrial war waged at scale no nation could resist. The lesson remains, never mock your enemy's technology. It might represent industrial capacity you can't match. And in industrial warfare, capacity defeats courage every time.